Okay, in this lesson, we're going to be talking about periodic functions and just what the heck they are, and then we'll have some vocab sort of associated with them. Okay, so in periodic functions, you actually see them a lot in real life. They're basically just a pattern that repeats. So if you think of a heartbeat, if you've ever seen in a movie where they show the heartbeat graph, that's a graph that repeats again and again and again. The let's see, the Earth, I was about to say the sun going around the Earth, but that doesn't make any sense. The Earth going around the sun, right? That's a pattern that repeats once every year, right? Swing is just a pattern. You go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, or like waves crashing on a beach, right? So these would actually be examples of periodic functions. So they're just functions that repeat themselves, right? So if you want more pictures of them. Here's the heartbeat one. And then also sound travels in waves that repeat the same pattern. And a lot of digital communication sent through the air, like your cell phone and all that stuff is sent through these digital waves through the air that look kind of like these sound waves, but just slightly different. So actually, this lesson is really important because if you didn't have periodic functions, you wouldn't have wireless communication through cell phones. So cell phones send all their data through the air in these periodic wave type functions. This is, by the way, Marconi, who is one of the people that's credited with inventing wireless, and this is his early wireless device here. And it's a pretty cool story, actually. He started off sending messages just a short distance on his little wireless machine, and then he got it to go outside his house, then over a hill, and eventually he could send messages all the way across the ocean through the air using his little wireless transmitter. So, kind of a cool story of how it got invented. Anyways, so let's get down some basics here of periodic function. So a function, like the simple definition is it's just a function that repeats, but specifically it's the y values that repeat, right? So if you look at the graph, the x values will be different each time, but the y values will be repeating. So like basically this set of y values from here is the same as the next set of y values, right? So the y values repeat. A cycle is one repetition. So usually when you measure a cycle, you just figure out how many x units it takes to do that. So if I take from like this point to the point where it repeats, and then look on my x-axis for how long that is, that's one cycle, is how long it takes it to repeat. How many x coordinates, essentially. I guess we could put little x units there. All right. And then the period is okay. So sorry, I guess I got a little ahead of myself. The cycle is one repetition, and then how many units it takes, sometimes I call that the period. So this x units is really more of the period. The cycle is one repetition, and then the period is how long it takes. Sorry for the confusion there. Okay, uh, so we want to find the this is a periodic function, and then we want to look at the cycle in two different ways, and what is the period. So basically, if you take, I usually take from like an easy spot to tell. So like you can see that we go through one full repetition and we're back to where we started and the pattern repeats when we go from here to here. So that's the points from -3 to 1. And so that means our period would be 4 units. Okay, and if we looked at a different cycle, we could look at, say, from maybe like right here to right here, where it repeats, it goes all the way down and then starts all over again. So that right there would also be an example of a cycle, and that would also be 4 units, right? It should always be 4 units, but there would be from -4 to 0. So we would also have 4 units in that cycle. Okay, so when it says identify the cycle, I guess we could say -3 to 1 or -4 to 0. Those are both examples of cycles. Okay, so is it periodic based on our definition? And then if it is, what is the period? How long does it take for one cycle? So this would be a good one maybe to pause the video and see if you can make some sense of this. Okay, so the first one here is no. It does kind of repeat, like you could look at a repeating section, but they're not the same y values. This section does not have the same y values as this section. nor does this one, right? Because the y values are getting lower with time, so it's not periodic. Okay, next one would be yes, it is repeating. And then to find the period, just I usually pick like the top of the hill to the top of the hill or the bottom of the valley to the bottom of the valley, but basically figure out one cycle. And so I think it starts at 0 here and goes to 10. So that would be the period is just 10 units long. Okay, same two, pause and make sure you got it. I'll do them real quick here, but it should just take a second. Okay, so this one's no. Again, the y values are getting bigger with time, so they're not repeating. Second one is yes. And then, I don't know, maybe let's look from the bottom of the valley to the bottom of the valley. We are going up by 2s. So no, we're still going up by 1s. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it goes from 0 to 4. So the period would be 4 units. Okay, final piece of vocab here is there's also what's called amplitude, which is half of the height or half of the y values. Okay, and so amplitude's kind of weird because you measure it sort of from the middle. So if you take the very middle of it, this is a sine function, by the way, a very famous periodic one, and you go up to the top or down to the bottom, that represents the amplitude, right? So this is actually just amplitude of 1 because we go up from the middle, we go 1 up or 1 down. So the amplitude is just 1. But it's also half the height. So what this is saying is the max value here is 1 on the y-axis and -1 down here. So if you do 1/2 of the max minus the min, you'd have 1/2 of 2, which is just 1. Okay, so you can kind of do it however you want. I like to draw a line in the middle and then just measure either to the up or down. That's my amplitude. Otherwise, you can do the max minus min, the difference between them, and then do half of that. So however the heck you want to do it. Okay, so here's another picture of it again. So like we have our min and max, and so you can do the difference between them and divide by 2. Or again, here's visually what the amplitude is from the middle to the top or from the middle to the bottom, right? That's a visual picture of what it is. Okay, and it just kind of shows you the variation of y, like where does it go from? What's its highest? What is the, the highest and lowest? What's the biggest swing between them, right? And then half of that would be amplitude. Okay, so see if you can find the amplitude here. This one is actually kind of hard to tell the middle. I think the middle would be like right there. And so then we would be, I think that's going to be 3 for the amplitude, but maybe we should do it the other way since it's kind of hard to tell. So we can see the max is 4 and the min down here, I think it's going by 2, so that's -2. So if we did the formula, we'd do 1/2 of max minus min. So the difference between the max and the min is 6, and then half of that is 3. So that is the right amplitude is 3. It's kind of like the height, but except half the height, I guess, would be another way to think of it. All right, one more amplitude question. I think the grid line is by 1 by the look of it. So here would be our max of 1 and our min of -2. So those are 3 apart. If you want to minus them, you can. But they're 3 apart, so we have to do half of that. So we have 1/2 of 3, which is just 1.5. So our amplitude there is 1.5. Okay. Okay, so now we're just going to apply this to a real life situation where we've got like a sound wave, and I think this is a tuning fork. I'm not sure what the green one is, to be honest. But anyways, see if you can do the period and amplitude, both of them for these two waves, and then pause the video and see if what you get matches what I have. Okay, so these little grids look like they're half each. So this would be about 1.5 up to 2.5. So for the yellow one, the total height would be 1. So our amplitude would be half of that. So we do 1/2 of 1, which is just 1/2. Okay, in the period, again, I would look from here to here. And if you look at our units on the bottom, we went from 4 thousandths to 8 thousandths. So if you subtract those two, that's one period, which would be just 4 thousandths of whatever it is, time or something like that. Okay, so green one then, the height's not very tall at all. These grids are only half each, so our amplitude would be half of half, also known as fourth in the math world. Okay, and then the period would be maybe from here to here, I would measure that. And so this would be at, let's see, this would be 5 thousandths, 6, 7, 8. So this would be from 5 thousandths up into 11 thousandths. I have a hard time saying that, I'm not gonna lie. Oops, I got one too many zeros there. But that's 11 thousandths, so that's a difference of, I think, 6 thousandths. I guess we could count it this way: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little grid lines. So the period is 6 thousandths for the green one. Okay, just kind of testing it. This is, I think, a really good challenge to see if this made sense to you. So take a piece of graph paper, or just, I guess, sketch it out with on your own, like draw the graph on your own. But see if you can make one that would have an amplitude of 3 and a period of 4. These are kind of hard to draw, but you've got to draw a repeating one. I usually just draw the sine or the cosine wave, looks like that. But see if you can make it have an amplitude of 3 and a period of 4. Okay, so for amplitude of 3, that's like a height of 6. So I'm going to draw my middle as the x-axis, and then I'm going to say I have to sort of be between 3 and -3, right? That means I go up 3 and down 3 from the middle. That will be an amplitude of 3. Okay, so the period is 4, so I have to repeat every 4 units. So I'm going to maybe mark at -4, this line right here, and then at +4, so it has to repeat in between there. So if I was to do a full sine wave or something, I'd have to go like this and make it repeat and then do it again. I'm not quite hitting the bottom there. I should be hitting the bottom. Sorry, I have a hard time drawing on here, but hopefully that gives you a picture of what it should look like. Okay, one more if you want to practice like that. Amplitude 4, period of 2 hundredths. So pause the video and see if you can do something like this. All right, if amplitude's 4, that's going to be my bounds. I'm going to be from 4 to -4. You don't have to put it right in the middle, but it's probably the easiest. And then it has to repeat between here and here. So it has to repeat pretty quick, which is going to be tricky. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be a very skinny looking deal. So what I would do maybe is just go like zoom. Nope, that's still not going to work. That's still not steep enough. I have to go all the way up and all the way down in that amount of time. So we're going to go up, bounce back down, and then hit back up there. So go up, zoom, zoom. And I'm just drawing my best here. You know, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but something like that would have amplitude 4, period 2. Okay, so in summary, these are called periodic functions. Amplitude is half the height. The period is how many x units it takes to do one cycle, and a cycle is just a repetition. Okay, and there's many phenomena in real life, most famously probably sound waves or like cell phone waves. Stuff that travels through the air is going to travel through these periodic functions, repeating patterns. So very important, because if without them, no cell phones. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching.